Hello, Josie here, continuing with our exploration of the Major Arcana. Not many cards left to explore. I ask, dear Spirit, which card to observe today? And I felt it. I tell you. Woo! There was a bit of resistance to tap into this message today. I could feel it. There was like, will they accept? Will they accept what I might have to share about the Emperor? Dun dun dun. The Emperor. For, of course, as we have seen in the Major Arcana, and you are welcome to access the message of the Empress that I shared, I believe, on like day 3 or so. There is much to be asked about, like, taking apart some of the languaging and the symbolism of the tarot deck. And one for sure is this understanding of Emperor. For, of course, when this deck was made, there was a different kind of like desire to become that type of, into that level of power. Yeah. And of course, now we're in a time where we're like, there is anti-imperialists, right? We are discovering, or hopefully some people are discovering or uncovering the discord and discomfort with the idea of empire. So, of course, these tarot cards, and I look forward to continuing to recapitulate them. This is the word that's coming up. But this, what does it persist? What brings up? What comes up? Even though it's right side up, right? We're not talking about a reversal, but still there is some shadow to discover and uncover around your acquiescence or acceptance or allowance of power. And we see this figure, of course, that it feels most austere and, crowned with a scepter, with mountains pictured behind them, as well as this strong kind of stone-like throne that is flanked by ram's heads. Actually, 4 of them, do you see? So there is something if we take apart and say goodbye to this word, okay, there is something in the structure, in the steadfastness of this card, of the stones depicted, of the connection that this person carries to the stones, to the land, to the rocks, to the things that are steadfast and true. So what comes up in this card is like, what is your foundation based upon? What do you find? What do you not even find? There's no seeking in this card. It's really interesting. The energy is a very different energy that speaks from this card. And please give me some space to try to find even the words. But what is, I'll first pose that question again. What is steadfast and true for you at this time? We've been invited in other cards even to look at truth. But this is now going, what is steadfast and true? And what is steadfast and true in your commitments? What do you commit to? What do you feel that you could literally carve and engrave into a rock to state at this time? When Emperor arises, when this card arises, let's revise this word, okay? To someone that has committed and has been steadfast in their commitment, their continued commitment, their continual, continual movement, steadfast, committed every single day, dedicated to what? Dedicated to what? What are you dedicated to? And of course, we think that this is solely dedicated to power, but they're showing to me like how there were there were good emperors at times. There were good leaders at times. There were in the history of kind of mankind, in different civilizations and different cultures, there were those even that took on the role of emperor of a people, of an empire, right? A large, vast landscape of people, okay? There is something of then understanding that in this large, vast landscape, no matter how it was bordered or sanctioned off, that they were committed to protect and to take care of all that was in those lands. Be it, this is such an interesting message, be it like the springs, like the natural waters and the jewels, and right, like the things that were most sparkly and exciting, right? The actual resources of the land. They were committed to take care of those and to ensure that they did not run out. There was something also they're showing to me of, on top of the resources of the land, of this care and commitment, of also kind of like the movements of the land itself, like honoring the land cycles, like the quakes and the shifts, and sometimes potentially even like the volcanic explosions, that they would have to become almost like how people speak of like, people who are at sea and will continue to like chart courses and be very aware of like the domain of the ocean. This was of like that you had to be so aware of the cycles of the land to ensure that care and protection continued. So this card is of a caretaker, of a someone who ensures that the provisions are cared for, as well as those who need to be provided for. That also there is this awareness of, yes, there has been much that they had to battle around that power. Like even personally, even, you know what I mean? Within their minds of like, that sometimes they would see how people, when they got that like position and responsibility, that they then, would almost like let that power get to them. And that they, instead of constructing something that was in honor and in reverence to the land and to the people that were living on the land, that they would like change course, change direction, shift things in ways that would, please them, like build higher structures for themselves, build like more, mountaintops and places to view off of for themselves, right? And that created derision and division between kind of those that they were first committed to embarking upon this like longer journey, this longer commitment. This is like something I'm seeing like written down, you know what I mean? Again, like etched in stone, etched on, like I'm written in ink, signed contracts of acknowledging that I am committed to provide for and care for these lands and these people that have like entrusted to me this, okay? And so there was this definitely in multiple times in history, that level of steadfast commitment was tested and messed with within our own egos, minds. Do you see of them, and has many shadows have showcased around that. But let's get back to the good of this card, so to speak, of what, after moving through your obsession to power, after moving through the all of that shit, that you can then really go, what am I? All the power of my knowledge, all of my awareness that I have garnished to see, where I live, and what I choose to do. That what now are those steadfast commitments, and how can I almost like claim their existence? Write them down, etch them somewhere. Allow yourself to almost like build the steadfast pillars of what you are anchoring in. To go, I have gained all this wisdom. I have gained all this knowledge. I have gained all this, like this position, so that I can take care of this. Honor this. Ooh, so good little prompt here to consider. Good little prompt. I'm seeing if there's any further things to share of the Emperor card at this time. Yes, just foundation. To start to seal and know that, I even said start to seed, but it turned into seal. Like there is something about really firmly etching and committing to something when you get this card. And to commit to the things that are very clear to you, the things that you hold dear, that are not coming from a place of hardness, but coming from a place of like that magnificent like depth of love and dedication and wisdom and humility and all of those things that we may revere in some of the historical figures that we have learned of. That have done things for the good of people, but not just the good of people, but the good, for the taking care, the caretaking of the land itself, and for the cycles of the land, the stars, to like honor them, to work with them, not against them. Right? I'm seeing those that like knew and could chart, the astronomers, right? And chart the stars, to like those that were able to like listen and chart the shifts of the actual earth, that they took this knowledge and with that kind of like in humble kind of like in a humble position, said, I choose now with this knowledge, with this power, with this awareness, right? That power, knowledge, awareness, it's kind of like coming all together, equals, that I can then stand strong in this, and be firm, be as firm as the mountains themselves, in this commitment that I state now. And this doesn't have to feel pressured Okay, there's something about that this doesn't, like, you don't have to be like, oh my gosh, I have to write this now because the card comes at this moment in time. Right? It's like take pause. Look at the repose. Look at the seat, right? You know, they're holding like they're a connection to the earth. They're holding a connection to the what we've called the riches of the earth, or like the also the metals of the earth. So you could do metals and stone, like do your connective practices. Lots of stone being talked. If you connect with stones, connect with stones when you receive this message. And when you actually do connect to the energies of stone, right? Stone, that you'll see that like there's something very slow in that process. It doesn't have to be a frenetic process. Slow, dedicated commitment. Strong, stable foundations. That is what is asked to consider with this card today. Deep respect, deep honor. Thank you for receiving this message. May we continue to see how we can take care, contribute, and utilize the strength and the wisdom and the awarenesses that we have gained from our ancestries, from our walks in this lifetime or in pasts, to fortify this stance now, to fortify this stance, and to like know that in this commitment I am protected. In this commitment I am connected to all of that. Enjoy this prompt. Talk soon. Ciao.